I'm just going to preface this video by saying, this is for the fans of Final Fantasy, and especially for anyone coming from WoW. This for me is to restore this outlook of MMOs from that of a jaded champion back to being an eager challenger, aiming to be an MMO that could truly be called the WoW killer. After that slow and painful decline of Activision Blizzard, I and many others felt it was our time to search for greener pastures. Being a Final Fantasy fan, the change to Final Fantasy XIV Online was actually a no-brainer. I loved everything about Final Fantasy. I've been a fan forever. There was no way I wouldn't love this game. However, I feel I underestimate how good it actually was. Because I fell hard for this game. As I play more of this game, I keep getting this feeling. Kind of like something being uncovered. The feeling of something emerging from deep inside me. It sounds so weird, but what actually made me realize this was that there was some chocobo tracks being left behind while I was running around in some snowy area. And when I saw this, I finally noticed it, I legitimately became overwhelmed. And I just couldn't help but gush about this game. It was then that I realized what that feeling was. I was happy. I was also feeling a little nostalgic, but mostly just happy. I was having fun. I was having fun playing an MMO again. After 14 years of playing World of Warcraft and becoming so complacent, probably since Cataclysm, I had just been missing having fun, learning new things, actually enjoying the little things in the game. Mind you, I've only been playing for about 20-ish hours, and I'm still in A Realm Reborn. But playing Final Fantasy Online has really awoken something inside of me, and I just want to share it. And I feel like coming from being a WoW refugee, coming into this game, which I would already call one of my favorites. Truth be told, I call it one of my favorites because it's already clawed its way into my head. I'm constantly thinking about it, wanting to play it, actually playing it, thinking of what I want to do next, watching videos, and watching streams. And speaking of streams, you should check me out on Twitch. You can see all of my live reactions to the game as I level through the main story. Like I said, I'm not even through A Realm Reborn, so we'll be getting to Heaven's Ward pretty soon here. I'm level 43 as of this recording, so just so you know. I'll have my schedule posted on the screen. I guess also while I'm plugging that, make sure to subscribe and like the video. I'll be posting more videos like this and many more, mostly all Final Fantasy XIV related content. Alright, let's get into the video, right? First and foremost, one of the best things I think in Final Fantasy XIV is the main story and how it's presented to you as the player. I'm not talking about like the actual story, which, let's get real here, is great. It's perfect. So far, I'm in love with it. But the fact is that you're playing an MMO that has a solid quest line that is clearly and concisely laid out in front of you. The way the story is presented to you, you don't actually need to do anything other than the main story quests, if you really want to. You don't gain anything aside from experience and a couple cosmetics by doing the side quests. In doing this, it's essentially like any other single-player Final Fantasy game. And like I said before, I am a huge fan of the Final Fantasy series, so I can appreciate this aspect of it a ton. There are definitely some other benefits to doing this that I've noticed. Like, it's extremely easy in this MMO to just go at your own pace. It makes you want to read and actually understand the quest text and all the quests that are being presented to you because you want to keep up with that story. And it makes you actually care about what you're doing. Also, in presenting it this way, it's actually very easy to pick up right where you left off in any length of time being away. Like, personally, I started Final Fantasy XIV when Shadowlands first came out, so November of 2020. And I played up to level 30, and then I quit. I started playing Shadowlands again, and I came back, and aside from having to relearn some of like the rotations, the controls of being my character, I found myself being able to pick right back up where I was, remembered everything that was going on. It was very clear to me, And now I'm right back into it. I jumped right back into the game. And honestly, I can't even begin to tell you how great it is to have a traditional Final Fantasy-esque story going on where you mainly go at it as a single player who, when prompted and needed, you get help from the other Warriors of Light, i.e. the players. It's really the best of both single-player RPGs and MMORPGs. I honestly wasn't too sure going into it if I was actually going to enjoy that aspect of it, but it keeps it casual, which I can definitely appreciate, only having a couple hours every, day or week to play. While WoW did have story-driven quests, they implemented them a bit different. Instead of having one long quest chain done throughout the entire expansion, it felt as if you had to do each zone, and then at max level is when you actually experience what the expansion is about. Obviously, I'm a little behind with Final Fantasy, so I don't know if this is exactly how it's going to be, but so far, the amount of story that I've been given about A Realm Reborn just blows World of Warcraft storytelling out the water. It's well paced, it keeps you engaged, the characters are nice, plus there's a real benefit, it feels like, to doing this with your characters, and because of that, the world feels alive, which is a good segue to my next part. Final Fantasy's world. Holy crap, where do I even start? It's so populated. There are real players everywhere. Only a few times have I been actually running around and questing by myself. It's totally different from any sort of MMO experience I've had in the last decade. The world is just so busy, and people are constantly traveling between zones and areas. It's something I realized how much I've actually missed in WoW. Part of the reason that we left is because the world is so barren. There's just nobody. You get to a certain level, and it's all instance content. There is no more questing. Or if there is, it's very rare to see that. Even rarer to be questing and see someone else doing the same quest. It just doesn't happen. Like, how can you not admit that when you're just running around on your mount, you just blow by this dude who has to run everywhere, and you just are on this mount? Even if it's a slow mount, you know that you're faster than him, and it just feels good. And it's something that I haven't gotten to do in so long, because in World of Warcraft, there's just nobody. There's nobody to run past. There's no one to do anything like that. So it's a guilty pleasure. Kind of makes me feel like a dick, but I think everyone's had that kind of schadenfreude. Okay, enough about my sadistic nature and torturing lobies. One of the greatest feelings is teleporting to a city like Ul'dah. I hope I'm saying that right. Sorry, Final Fantasy fans. And I'm just greeted by dozens, sometimes 100 players, and some of them are playing music. Okay, imagine this. You teleport into a city, and all of a sudden there are people playing guitars somehow, some way. Still haven't learned how to do that. And there are some people who are playing flutes and probably other instruments that I just haven't seen. And you see people all around them. They have emotes that give them like rave sticks. And it was just so bizarre to see that. And the music's good. It's all final, like some of it's Final Fantasy music. I swear to God, I heard a Naruto, like the Sad and Sorrow song. I think that's what it is. Like, I swear to God, I heard that. But the world just feels so alive when you go to these main cities, and it feels good to go there. Like, I just thoroughly enjoyed that, and it was important enough to me to mention in things that you don't get to see in WoW. You don't get to see anything like that because, I don't know, the player base sucks. Speaking of the player base, do you have any idea how horrible it is when you're a new player and you have to go and ask people questions? Well, not in Final Fantasy, it's not. Because in Final Fantasy, I was asking this person a question about an emote they were doing. And it's the Harvest Dance. You get it through the main quest line. And I'm pretty sure it's the main quest line. But it's just a cool looking dance. And I was waiting to go kill Titan. And I saw somebody doing it. And it's a stupid question. It really is. Like, it's such a unconsequential question, and I was like, hey, how do you do this? So I went in there, and they responded. They're like, oh yeah, it's go to your emotes, do all this, and they're like, only if you have it. It's a special emote. I go through. I don't see it because I'm blind, obviously, and I'm like, hey, I don't have it, and I'm doing it right there, and they start laughing, and they're just like, oh yeah, you're doing the dance right now, and it was such a like comically just time thing. It sounds dumb, but it left an impact with me because this person sat with me while we waited to go kill Titan, and she's just dancing with me, talking to me about stuff. Like just that one interaction. I can't tell you the last time I had an interaction even close to that in World of Warcraft. So I played WoW basically since the end of Burning Crusade. Like the very end. I never got to raid. I didn't get to do anything like that. Wrath of the Lich King was my first time doing that. And when Burning Crusade Classic came out, I told myself that I was going to get into it. I was going to raid because everyone says it's the golden age of WoW. It's wonderful. So I started doing that, and I realized very quickly, if you have any questions, you are not allowed to ask because you get constantly made fun of for it, and oftentimes told, just Google it. I don't want to get on the subject of how much I absolutely hate that phrase. I think it's a phrase that will single-handedly make me not want to talk to you ever again. Now, I'm not saying that everybody needs to answer all your questions. There are dumb questions, and you don't always have the time for it. But it doesn't matter what it is in WoW. You constantly just get told to just Google it. And it's so stupid, but we're not going to talk about that. We'll save it for another video, and yeah. I know it sounds like I'm being soft, and trust me, I enjoy my fair share of, like, harassing, light toxicity. I grew up in Modern Warfare 2, all right? What do you want from me? But there's a certain level where when a new person is asking you, they're asking the player base, and they're gauging you on what you answer. Your role as an existing player in that world is to welcome them and help them feel welcomed in that game world. The goal of an MMO is community, and if you harass them and constantly tell them to just Google it and don't help and you don't interact with that, you're hurting the game. And when that person leaves, they might make another person leave. They might tell other people that, hey, this is a toxic world, and nobody's going to want to give that game a try. And I'm sorry, but in an MMO, the more the merrier. So like I've stated, I'm pretty new to this game, and after only about 20 hours, I realized that Final Fantasy XIV has filled all the gaps I was missing from WoW. Mind you, I'm not even done with the Realm Reborn. I still have Heavensward, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, and the new one, Endwalker. I'm only onto the base game, and this is how I'm feeling. I cannot wait to get into the other expansions. I'm sure this is all stuff that has been said before, and I'm sure I won't be the last one to say it, but Final Fantasy XIV is so far a masterpiece. It's fun, engaging, exciting. It's everything that I missed in an MMO. I'm going to continue to play this game for as long as it'll allow me to. If you haven't already, go give this game a chance. In fact, turn off this video. Come join me in playing Final Fantasy. I play on the Malboro server. I definitely look forward to seeing you there. Unless you're going to pick a Harathgar. Then you can go play something else. Just kidding. You just can't play with me. So until next time, this is Aranova. And I'm going to go play some Final Fantasy XIV. I have to be pretty close to getting to Heavensward, which, rumor has it, is the greatest Final Fantasy story of all time. So I guess we'll see. Hopefully I'll see you on my streams and or in-game. Hope to see you soon. Bye.